Saints Sunday, and I'm sure each and every one of us has our own favorite saint. Might be St. Jude. Perhaps it's St. Francis. Perhaps it is St. Ignatius. The list can go on and on and on about who we might look to as a model for our own lives. But when I think about the saints, although I think about these individuals, I cannot help but think about the saints that have been my own life. Those unsung heroes who have always been there for me, to support me, even if at times I have never deserved it. Of course, the thing when we look at saints is none of the saints are perfect. They're all a bit flawed, because the only perfect one was Jesus himself. There was in a town, two brothers who really ran the town. They were almost like Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life. The individuals who they owned the store, the bank, they owned everyone's mortgages on their homes. They might as well have named the community after themselves. But the problem was they were miserly individuals. Just like Scrooge, nobody liked these two brothers. Some even said that they were members of the family, otherwise associated with the mob. Well, one day one of the brothers died, and he really wanted his brother to have a church funeral, even though the two of them never ever went to church. So he went around from pastor to priest, and finally he made it to the Episcopal church, and he asked the priest if he would do the service for his brother. And the priest was thinking about it, and the man said, well, you know, I see you have this capital campaign. I know your roof needs repaired. You need a new boiler. I tell you what, if you do the service, I will give the church $50,000. $50,000. But under one condition, you have to call my brother a saint. And the priest said, well, I'll do it, but I want the money in advance. So the day of the funeral came along, and would you believe it, the church was packed. Everyone wanted to know if the priest would actually call the man a saint, because nobody liked the guy. And the priest got up for the homily and started talking about what a miserable human being the man was, that he always took advantage of people, that nobody liked him, that he was anything but a good person. But then he looked at everyone and said, but compared to his brother, he was a saint. All saints are flawed human beings. On this day, this All Saints Sunday, we remember the saints that are with God and the saints among us right now. And we look to these role models to point us to how we can live our lives better with God through Jesus Christ. We're pointed today to our own baptisms, in which Karina just in a moment is going to be baptized. And during this baptismal service, we're each going to be renewing our own baptismal vows about what it really means to be a Christian, to try to live our lives as saintly lives, to do things such as coming to church, saying your prayers, receiving the sacraments. When we sin, notice it's not if we sin, but when we sin, we'll repent and return back to God. Proclaiming by word and example the good news of God in Jesus Christ, loving our neighbor as ourselves and respecting the dignity of every human being. These are the things we're called to strive for. And in today's gospel we see even more. Jesus says to love our enemies, to pray for them. That if somebody strikes us, we need to turn the other cheek. That if somebody takes our clothes, we need to give them everything of ours. In other words, to be that saintly individual, we need to try to put ourselves into God's realm instead of our own human desires and wishes. No matter who our favorite saints might be, remember, they were human just like you and me. They struggled deeply with their faith at times. They made mistakes. They had bad days just like we all do. But we look to them today to give thanks for their witness and pray that we can try to be like them too. Amen.